everybody. Good morning. It is indeed my pleasure to welcome each and every last one of you here today to City Hall this morning, which is the People's House. The People's House is a fitting place to celebrate the 50th anniversary of Maynard Jackson swearing in as the first black mayor of a major southern city. Now, he was much more than just that title, though, with a legacy that extends so much farther than the title implies. And that's why today is just the first of a series of events that the city plans to host this year to recognize this remarkable man and this remarkable occasion. In 1969, when James Brown said, "I don't want nobody to give me nothing. Open up the door and I'll get it myself," he must have known Maynard Holbrook Jackson Jr. was coming along just a few years later. At least that's how it played out in my mind. Maynard did not ask to be given anything, just that the voters trust him at the ballot box. Everything after that was a simple demand for fairness and inclusion. Somebody had to be the first, and the city will be forever thankful that Maynard was our first. So as we celebrate today, I sincerely thank all of you for being here. A special thanks to the Jackson and Dobbs families, and I would also like to thank all of the people who worked on Maynard's campaign and those who played a role in his administration. As well as all of the supporters that are here, that are able to join us this morning, and those that will observe us on television, and those that will come along later at other celebrations. And also to each of my mayoral predecessors, I thank you. I thank you all sincerely for carrying the mantle, paving the way, and for being here as well. All of the living mayors, besides Ambassador Andrew Young, who is traveling abroad right now, all of them are here. Will you all give a round of applause to Atlanta's wonderful mayoralty?
Wow, this is something else. Good afternoon. I'm here and I am actually Jocelyn Dorsey, Director Emeritus of WSB TV Channel 2's Editorial and Public Affairs Department, and historically noted as the first African American anchor of a regular television newscast in Georgia. But I say that because it comes in the perspective of why we're here today. My career began in August of 1973, and my first assignment, aside from breaking news, was to follow the campaign of then Vice Chair Maynard Holbrook Jackson Jr. And you can imagine, as being among the first, I was not the first reporter. In fact, there were two others before me, but because he was a candidate, an African-American candidate, they thought, oh, you know, we need to put her on it because she'll get a better story out of it. But little did they know that it would be one of the most historic and life-changing events of my life. And little did the public know how he became my role model as to how this naive kid from Cincinnati, Ohio, could navigate the turbulent political waters in the Deep South. And believe me, it was just as turbulent in the broadcast arena as it was in the political arena. So I am deeply indebted to be able to honor my bid whist playing partner, neighbor, in the historic West End. I'm also grateful that his family has immortalized me in the incredible Sam Pollard documentary called Maynard. And incidentally, it's available on Amazon Prime for download. And I've downloaded it. It's an amazing documentary. I encourage you all to support it. But above all, I'm honored to be part of this 50th year anniversary of the inauguration of the Honorable Maynard Holbrook Jackson Jr. But 3 years before Jackson was elected mayor, the Honorable Andrew Jackson Young Jr. in 1970 became the first African American elected to Congress from Georgia since Reconstruction, and he served 2 terms. After that, Mayor Jackson urged him to run for mayor of Atlanta, which he did, and he won with 55% of the vote, becoming the 55th mayor of Atlanta, succeeding Jackson. Ambassador Young could not be with us, as Mayor Dickeins has indicated, but he is with us in spirit through the magic of video. So let's take a look.
Jackson, Maynard Holbrook Jackson, was the founding father of modern Atlanta. He came with a vision that came from his parents and his grandparents. And John Wesley Dobbs, his grandfather, actually was the one who filed the case, the Primus King case, which got black folk the opportunity to get in the Democratic Party back in, I think, 1949. And Maynard was an aristocrat. His grandfather had 4 daughters. 3 of them had PhDs, and the other one was an opera singer in Europe. And yet we wanted, or some people wanted, Maynard to be a good old boy. It was just not possible. He was too big, he was too good looking, he was too smart, and he made most of us feel insecure and inferior. But it took that to take on Atlanta and to help build it into the city that we have now. This really started with MARTA. And we were the only city in the United States of America to pass a MARTA referendum, to pass a referendum for mass transit. It was possible for any city. Atlanta and DeKalb were the only ones that did it, and we only did it by 400 votes. And that gave us the opportunity to bring minorities into the business life of Atlanta. He expanded that because we figured out how to build the Atlanta airport without federal government or state government or city funds. The Atlanta airport went to Wall Street, and we developed a flow of cash that has been unmatched by any business in the planet, and it's still going strong. He simply wanted 25% of each contract to go to minorities or female-owned companies. I think we have far surpassed that. And the airport now, the last I heard, made $666 billion in 2022. And we're probably back up there and even higher after these holidays, but we won't know that for a while. But when you go to the airport and when you look around the city, you realize that opened the doors for the 1996 Olympic Games, which brought the world in to Atlanta. Again, we used no taxpayer money, and we ran it like a business, and we ended up with over $100 million surplus when most of the cities that were putting on the Olympics were having $500 million deficits. And so Atlanta's got a tremendous reputation. We probably deserve it, not only because of Maynard Holbrook Jackson, but because of the fact that he is a product of the Atlanta University Center. He's a Morehouse man, and he represents the foundation, academia, and business excellence that we are required to have in today's world. And so Maynard, thank God for it. I just didn't have sense enough to know that that was impossible. And so he was one of those that said, you know, the impossible, the difficult we do immediately. The impossible just takes us a little time. And the Atlanta spirit, the positive vision of people of many, many different backgrounds coming together and working as one and building a city that fulfills many of our dreams. I think we owe a lot of that to Maynard Holbrook Jackson, and we really don't do enough to show our appreciation. I never passed gate 15 at the National Airport. I know what the other name is, but I would prefer name. And that's where Maynard fell. And he fell going to Washington to find a way to get more help, more vision, and more money to keep the institutions in and around Atlanta growing and going on to make this a better universe. Thank you, Maynard. Thanks to all of his children and those who loved him. And thanks to you who voted for him. But let's never forget that he helped us to become what we are. And we ain't there yet, but we're going to keep on coming till we make it. God has blessed us, and God bless you.
The Honorable Andrew Jackson Young, Jr. You've probably heard of the Squad in the U.S. House of Representatives. But there was a squad in Georgia long before that. It was a behind-the-scenes group of Maynard Jackson mentees and supporters, many of whom have gone on to national prominence in their own right. And she did not know I had scripted this, but it was people like Ingrid Saunders Jones, who is here. I was hoping you would be here. And you know I wrote you in, and you know I have to mention my neighbor, Cecilia Hunter, who was on the 1996 Olympic Committee, and also Ms. Azira Hill. Oh my God, she is one of my, I just love her. She's a shero to me, who was the widow of Mr. Jesse Hill, who actually helped fund Maynard Jackson's campaign, and many other political figures as well. So thank you so much. But one woman who he promoted as the first woman cabinet member in the city of Atlanta was in his administration, and she went on to achieve another first, winning election as the first woman mayor of the city of Atlanta, the Honorable Shirley Clark Franklin.
Thank you. It's good to be here. Thank you, everybody. Certainly Andy Young has spoken of the occasion. We are here to celebrate the unbelievable and visionary leadership of Maynard Holbrook Jackson at a very young age. This gentleman was in his 30s. He did not wait until his 50s to make waves and to be courageous. So I'm not going to do that. That's what they asked me to do. But there are a lot of people here who actually worked with Maynard in his campaign, worked in the administration. And Jocelyn, I cannot believe you started naming names, but haven't done that. I want to ask everyone who actually worked in Maynard's campaign or in his administration to please stand so you can see the variety of people, the type of people who were active with Maynard. So as we celebrate Maynard, we celebrate you, because no one does anything alone. And this is just the tip of the iceberg in terms of people who supported Maynard. There is one woman whose name is rarely mentioned, but who knew Maynard almost as well as his family. And she has joined us today. She was his executive assistant, Jerry Elder. From day one. And as usual, even when she was working with him, she was the sharpest person in the audience, in the office. So it's good to be with you, Jerry. So with that, I'm going to conclude. I had the great privilege of learning from Maynard, observing him, being on the other end of the conversations when he was critiquing nearly everything I said and did. But I appreciate that the city of Atlanta is taking this moment to honor him, to celebrate him, and to use his life and legacy as an inspiration for what we need to do in America, in Atlanta, in Georgia right now. Thank you very much.
She's being modest, and I won't go on. Our 58th mayor of the city of Atlanta, the Honorable Shirley Clark Franklin. But she is not the only legacy. Before her was the 57th mayor, the Honorable Bill Campbell. And after her was the 59th, after him was the 59th, the Honorable Kasim Reed. And then the 60th, the Honorable Keisha Lance Bottoms. They are all here. They are all here. And I want them to now, in that order, please share reflections. The Honorable Bill Campbell.
Thank you. It is a terrific honor to be here, and for many of you who may not really know the tremendous achievements of Shirley Franklin, the building that you're in right now is a result of the great work that Shirley Franklin did with Andy Young in building this particular building, and for that we are eternally grateful. Shirley and I are the only ones that had a unique honor, and that is we were able to go from working with Maynard Jackson, and then of course Andy Young, and then serving as mayors ourselves. For me, the remarkable honor was I got to meet these incredible human beings, starting with Maynard Jackson. You know, there's an old saying, you should never meet your heroes because you'll be disappointed. Well, that's certainly not true here. And I can tell you, I came to Atlanta, as many of us did, because of Maynard Jackson. He just represented something bigger and better than anything else or anywhere else in government. And I will tell you that when you think about what we have, Maynard Jackson is without any equivocation the greatest mayor in the history of the United States. And that is without any equivocation whatsoever. He was bold and bigger and stronger and smarter, and he just gave all of us the courage to be able to do something different. And we are all profoundly grateful. I also, by the way, was elected in 1981 with Andy Young. He was elected mayor in 1981, so I was elected to the city council. And so imagine having the opportunity to serve with this incredible human being, the greatest diplomat, and certainly the arc of his life has just been magnificent in terms of what he's done. And then I was elected with John Lewis. We were elected to the city council together. So imagine in one fell swoop. And by the way, I had the opportunity to be Maynard Jackson's floor leader for 4 years when he came back in 1989. So I had a deep personal relationship with this incredible human being. So I got to work with the greatest mayor, the greatest diplomat, and the greatest humanitarian. So all of that from this building. And I also want to, one final point. It's always noted that we've had 7 African-American mayors, but it's not 7 African-American mayors, it's tremendous people who have made a real difference for the city of Atlanta. Excellence, and that's what's more important. And if you want to know just one thing that will tell you just how incredible these mayors have been, and of course, we have another great one in Mayor Dickeins, who has really distinguished himself in so many ways. The crime numbers, what he's done, and keeping the city together and moving forward. We're very, very proud of him. And that is, and I tell these people all the time, every single brick at the Atlanta airport, every part of the runways, every single thing that's there was built and constructed by African-American mayors. 7 African-American mayors, the busiest airport, the best airport in the world, all done by these 7 African-American mayors. That says it enough. Thank you so very much for this particular honor that was given me to serve for 20 years, 12 on the council, 8 as mayor, and the recognition of Maynard Jackson and Valerie and the family who have done so much, and they've continued their legacy of service, and that just distinguishes them as being the greatest first family. So thank you all so very much. And now, not my successor, but the person who came after me, Mayor Kasim Reed.
Another great Atlantan said something that I remember always. He said that in the future, there will be a new generation with new privileges and new opportunities. I just want that new generation with new opportunities and new privileges to know that they got them because somebody suffered and sacrificed for them. I really think that's the essence of Maynard Holbrook Jackson. But what I want to talk about is during all of that leadership, all of that hardship, I think we need to pause a moment and really lift up his wife and his family. Because the price you pay for leading this city is an enormous price. And so I would just like his family to stand and let us love on you for sharing your incredible father. I had the honor of serving as a campaign manager for Mayor Franklin. Mayor Jackson came and picked me up and said, boy, you need to learn about Atlanta. We had this beautiful Cadillac Seville. I got in the car and we drove the city. And while we drove the city, you could feel how much he loved it. He said, in order to be a great mayor, you have to love all of it. You gotta see the neglect, you gotta see the hope, you gotta see the promise. So my feeling on this extraordinary 50th anniversary is Maynard Jackson runs through all of it. There's his breath, there's his passion, there's his hope, there's his will, all of it. And because of Maynard Holbrook Jackson, we all say that if it's the South, it's us. Thank you.
I was born January 18th, 1970. So if anyone from City Council wants to go and do a proclamation in honor of my birthday, feel free to excuse yourselves. We moved just outside of London when I was around 2 years old. My earliest memories are there. So when we moved back to Atlanta, in a very childish way, I believe that all the white people lived in London and all the black people lived in Atlanta. My teachers were black, my pastor was black, Jocelyn Dorsey was on the news, she was black, and my mayor was black. Maynard Jackson was the first mayor that I remember as a child. And I believe that I was able to serve as mayor of Atlanta and have the confidence to serve because he made little girls like me and little boys across this city know what was possible. That we could walk in boldness that we could dream big and we could be whatever we wanted to be. So thank you to all of you all here today who supported his dream, who allowed him to dream big for all of us and to set the standard for not just mayors of Atlanta, but mayors across this country to follow. When I was campaigning for city council, the greatest honor I had was to knock on doors and people would say, I'm voting for you because you're doing it the Maynard Jackson way. May we all in this building leave here today and do it the Maynard Jackson way, unapologetically, big and bold. Thank you.
Just don't drop it. Thank you, thank you, thank you. I'm so glad you all spoke in all the different areas, recognizing the family, the work and the legacy that is combined with the meetings that you've been in, Mayor Campbell. I mean, the list just goes on and on, but I won't go on and on. And when you talked about young people, it reminded me that when we think about family, she was 12 years old when her father was inaugurated. And to say she led a sheltered life was no exaggeration, because there were death threats that her father received. She had to have full-time police executive protection from junior high school through high school, which you can imagine, she said, made life very interesting, especially in high school when you're sort of trying to have a social life and you always have a police officer hanging around with you. But the flip side was, and it's interesting that one of the mayors mentioned, she got to also ride along with her dad and witness him in action. It's a front row seat that carries loads of fond memories as the firstborn daughter, Elizabeth Jackson Hodges.
Thank you, Jocelyn. Good afternoon. Oh, it's so nice to see so many friendly faces. Hi, Jerry. I love you all. Good afternoon. I'm Elizabeth Jackson Hodges, and on behalf of my family, I'd like to thank the Honorable Mayor Mayor Dickeins, the esteemed members of the Atlanta City Council, and all those who worked to organize this beautiful tribute. I'm also honored by the presence of former mayors Bill Campbell, Shirley Franklin, Kasim Reed, and Keisha Lance Bottom. Thank you for attending and honoring my father. My family and I are deeply moved by this recognition. Your commitment to honoring Maynard Jackson's legacy speaks volumes about Atlanta's enduring spirit of unity. I would also like to express my family's heartfelt thanks to all of those who knew and loved my father best, his friends, his colleagues, and all the fellow Atlantans who shared his vision for a better, more inclusive city. Your presence here today is a testament to his impact and the lives he touched. I'm the eldest of my father's 5 children, and as you can imagine, being one of Maynard Jackson's children was challenging but transformative. He held us to the same high standards he set for himself, instilling in us a commitment to strive for excellence in every aspect of our lives. In 1973, I was in middle school and recruited to campaign alongside my father at 6 a.m. most mornings, stopping at bus stops to shake hands with Atlantans on their way to work, passing out our Maynard for Mayor flyers, working our way through Atlanta's neighborhoods, and of course, making time to stop for Krispy Kreme. He loved meeting the citizens of Atlanta, listening to their problems, concerns, and ideas. It was not just a political ritual for him, but a shared journey that forged lasting memories for me. He would always tell me, it's a great thing to give to your community in the important causes of the day. Don't ever forget, give of yourself, give of your time, and demonstrate your commitment to your community by finding ways to help make it better. I live by those words today, one of the many important lessons my father taught me. Maynard Jackson's passion for creating a better day and life for the citizens of Atlanta was palpable as we canvassed those neighborhoods. He truly believed that he could help to create a city where excellence, justice, and equality were not just aspirations, but the very fabric of our communal existence. His young and dynamic campaign staff, the squad, and those who went on to work in his administration shared his dedication to the mission of making Atlanta the best that she could be. It was this wave of energy and determination that was fueled by optimism. That propelled my father to victory. The inauguration in January of 1974 at the city's Civic Center, first time having it at the city's Civic Center, was exciting and inclusive of all Atlantans. More than 5,000 people attended. Youngsters in blue jeans to dowagers in mink stoles, reported the New York Times. I was not aware at the time of the many ways things would change for me or my family. I don't think I was old enough to really understand the magnitude of the moment and the trajectory of history. But as I grew older, I was able to recognize it, embrace it, and feel it. My family and I extend our gratitude to the city of Atlanta. Your collective efforts in remembering Maynard Jackson's life and legacy resonate deeply with our family, and we're honored to share this moment with the city that he loved with all his heart. Thank you, Atlanta, for this beautiful remembrance of a man who dedicated his life to the service of this remarkable city and its people. I'd also personally like to give, because I see so many of you, I'd personally like to give my personal thanks to the City of Atlanta Police Department. The executive protection team who surrounded my father were like brothers to me, and they even taught me how to drive and kept me out of trouble. So I love you, Atlanta City Police Department. Okay, I've been asked to read this letter from my brother. My sister Brooke told me to edit it, so I'll do my best. And then they gave me this tiny little, I can't read it. Okay. Dear Mayor Dickeins and esteemed members of the Atlanta City Council, I trust this letter finds you well and thriving in your roles as stewards of our beloved city. I am writing to extend my deepest gratitude for this tribute to my father and to share a few reflections on the profound impact of his historic tenure as the first African-American mayor of a major southern city. While I regret not being able to attend the commemoration in person, I am genuinely moved by the heartfelt outpouring of love and celebration that marked the remembrance of my father. Witnessing the city come together to honor his legacy emphasizes the significance of his role as a trailblazer, breaking barriers and paving the way for future generations. My father's historic achievement in 1974 was not solely a milestone for our family, but a watershed moment for Atlanta and the nation. It served as a symbol of progress, a testament to the power of inclusivity, and a reminder that barriers can be overcome through determination, courage, and the unwavering belief in a better future. 50 years later, I'm reminded daily of how it impacted the lives of not only people in Atlanta, but also set standards that are still in place today for municipalities and the corporate sector in our nation. On a personal note, in 1974, when my father took office, I was a mere 3 years old. Humorously, it seems my two older sisters, my mother and my grandmother, were well aware of my emerging personality, declaring me a handful even at that tender age. I guess that's why I missed the inauguration and the Atlanta Civic Center celebration. My absence, I assure you, was not a sign of political dissent, but more likely a toddler's declaration of independence. Growing up, my dad told me, "Buzzy, do what's right, not what's wrong." For those who don't know, that nickname was given to me second. My father is the first Buzzy. His sisters gave him this nickname because he snored, sounding like a buzz at night. Later in life, he would share with a journalist that he wished he had never passed that nickname on to me. Well, to those who know me best, I still answer to Buzzy as a badge of honor for him. Now that I'm older, his words mixed with my mom's are like compass guiding me through life. But doing the right and not doing the wrong isn't just for me, it's for everyone. We all have the power to do good things that can touch the lives of many. It's not too much to ask for. My father didn't just sacrifice for our family, he also did it for the city. In simple terms, he believed in doing the right thing. He didn't just talk about it, he showed it through actions. Whether at home or serving his community, his commitment went way beyond himself. So as I go through life, I remember his simple yet powerful message. It's not just about personal success, it's about making a collective and positive impact on the lives of others. That's the kind of legacy my father left doing right by everyone, being honest and being a person of integrity, and that's something I pray we all strive to carry forward. Thank you for being so dedicated to our great city, and as my father used to say, as I stepped up to bat, playing baseball at Adams Park in Southwest Atlanta, I rocked them. Sincerely, Maynard Holbrook Jackson III.
Thank you. Thank you, Elizabeth Jackson, Beth Hodges. I do want to take a departure from my program, and I have to recognize, I covered the legislature, and so I have to recognize one of the most prominent people in the legislature during the time that I covered it back in the 70s, who is now an ambassador to the Commonwealth of the Bahamas. Please recognize the Honorable Calvin Smyrie. Oh, I have to. You were the one who gave me the lessons in all the legislative coverage. I won't say you were deep throat, but no, I'm just kidding. The Honorable Andre Dickeins is the 61st mayor of Atlanta, and yes, you are getting an introduction. He was a proud native of Atlanta and a product of the Atlanta Public Schools. Mayor Dickeins is focused on bringing opportunity and equity to the city that he loves. Prior to his election as mayor, Dickeins served 8 years as an at-large city council member, so he was well prepared. Mayor Dickeins is a graduate of Benjamin E. Mays High School and holds a bachelor degree. My son went to Benjamin E. Mays High School. That's why I know I have to say the full name. And he holds a bachelor degree in chemical engineering from the Georgia Institute of Technology, as well as a master's of public administration from Georgia State University. One of the things in his short tenure that I have come away with is the way he is branding Atlanta and his mission in Atlanta, because he always says Atlanta is a group project, right? And drawing circles. He's known for drawing circles and not lines. I bring to you the Honorable Andre Dickeins, who is continuing to move Atlanta forward.
Thank you so much for that. Thank you for that introduction, and thank you all for being here. One thing I want to do before I even get to my remarks is to thank the team of individuals that put this on. I came up with it. I said, we got to honor Maynard, y'all, and they just went off and did it. My chief of staff, Odie Donald, and all of the folks that are here that are in the constituent services office and the mayor's office. So let's give them a round of applause for taking this to this esteemed level. Thank you all. They also believe in this legacy, this awesome legacy of Maynard Jackson. They put their best foot forward today, as well as the Atlanta City Council. We put this on together, funded it financially together, so the members of the Atlanta City Council also wanted to make sure that they honored Maynard Jackson. And thank you, Mrs. Hodges, for bringing greetings from the family. And you know, we love you all and thank you all for everything that you do. You know, Buzzy is my contemporary, so I knew of him growing up. And so to be able to hear from you and hear from other members of the family, to see you all here today is indeed my honor. And it was also great to hear from Atlanta's mayors. Give our mayors another round of applause, y'all. Give them some love. Indeed, it is great to hear about their journey and their relationship or familiarity and legacy following after Maynard Jackson. And so I thank you. And again, yes, Dean, Ambassador Smyer, we thank you for being here. Listen, I think all have enjoyed the anecdotes and confirmation of what a special city we have here, what a special city we have, as well as the reminder of all the greatness that Atlanta has gifted to the world. That's one of the reasons why after you hear from all these great mayors, I study them. I study great leaders. And so before you leave, I want you all to go up these steps and out and check out this gallery of mayors that we put together between the two city hall buildings. Because I love studying these mayors, I asked our Cultural Affairs Director, Camille Love, to brighten up this hallway. I don't know if y'all remember how dark that hallway was between the two buildings, but we wanted to brighten it up and provide some history about Atlanta's modern mayors. And I encourage you all to visit that gallery at some point. And of course, Maynard Holbrook Jackson is there. So I was born 6 months after his inauguration. I personally benefited from lots of his programs growing up. Camp Best Friends. I went to Camp Best Friends as a kid growing up. He started that program, and to this day, we still have Camp Best Friends. Even my daughter, who is now 18 years old, she can't go to Camp Best Friends right now. She's at college, but on her way to college, she was educated and after school and in the summers by Camp Best Friends and many other programs like that that Atlanta's young people benefited from and families benefited from. Maynard Jackson, the MPU system, and all these other things that you're going to hear about over this time. And I recall hearing the stories growing up, and sometimes even on my campaign trail as well, as you mentioned, Mayor Bottoms, about just how personable Maynard Jackson was to everyone. He would greet you with this, "Hi, I'm Maynard, what's your name?" And always with that big booming voice that I'm really trying to emulate right now. I ain't got it down, but I'm gonna get there. So when you greet people like that, when you really genuinely love people, it shows. And Maynard sure did make sure that it showed, and that's something they never will forget when they meet Maynard Jackson. 50 years ago, Maynard marched through that door opened by voters, and we've been stepping through it ever since. Bear with me for a little of Atlanta's history. On January 7, 1974, Judge Luther Alverson administered the oath of office to Maynard Holbrook Jackson Jr., the great-grandson of slaves. Judge Alverson himself had been sworn in 20-some years earlier by Governor Herman Talmadge. The same Herman Talmadge would later defeat Maynard in a race for the U.S. Senate, thereby setting Maynard on his history-making course to become mayor. As earlier speakers have reminded us, Maynard was a lion of a man, a giant among men who commanded the attention of anyone that was in his presence. He was a man who innately knew right from Rome, as Buzzy said, and knew that Atlanta would never grow into its greatness by continuing to conduct business as usual. Mrs. Coretta Scott King called Maynard an extraordinary leader. Julian Bond called him the human dynamo, Michael. John Lewis blessed him with the title, the founding father of the new Atlanta. And it is quite possible that some other folks had some other words to call him, but we don't have a record of that, though. But Mrs. King, Julian Bond, Congressman Lewis, these were folks who had been in the fight long enough to recognize the real thing when they saw it. Maynard was our real thing. And there's an interview that Maynard gave after leaving office where he says something about how he will be talked about in the years to come. He jokingly said he'll probably always be remembered with one of those super long names, Maynard Jackson, the first black mayor of Atlanta, Georgia. If that has happened, then it is a mistake on all our parts. He was so much more than that. Look around this whole region, of course look around this city, and look around this room, and indeed look around the nation, and you see Maynard Jackson's legacy. He did not just advocate for inclusion, he demanded it and accepted nothing less. He didn't just suggest change, he made the change. He made equitable representation a contractual obligation. It is now the law of the land here in Atlanta, as well as several other American cities. He laid the foundation that allowed Hartsfield-Jackson Atlanta International Airport to become the world's busiest and most efficient airport and a significant driver of this region's economy. To this day, we still enjoy the results of his public infrastructure investments. And 50 years later, Atlanta remains the envy of cities all across the country, thanks in part to Maynard's powerful legacy of progress, empowerment, and influence. And when it comes to history, being the first one sometimes is not as important as being the right one. Maynard Holbrook Jackson Jr. was indeed the right man at the right time in this city's history. And so that's why we are gathered here today, to honor him. And we're going to honor him throughout this year. And we encourage all of you to go to atlmaynard50.com, atlmaynard50.com, where we have some of the information about the events that are yet to come. And then there'll be more things that'll come out with galleries of photos and other videos and other things that'll be added to that site throughout the year. This is a way for you to stay engaged and for the public to be able to enjoy this memory lane that we're going down. Now at this time, I believe we have something very special to present to the family. On behalf of a grateful city, of the city of Atlanta, and as I serve as the 61st mayor of Atlanta, following a legacy of dynamic mayors, it is my honor to present this ceremonial letter to you as the family. It is a small thank you for sharing your husband, your father, and your family with this city. Please come on up, family members, and we will present this to you at this time.